There is one candidate that I perceive to be the most likely to be the next head coach at K-State, but the interesting thing about that is it may be contingent on another Big 12 job not coming open. There's also a candidate that I think has a strong chance at the job that probably will not be very popular. Okay, so I'll fill you in on some names to watch and what I would prefer to happen here in this video. So, really, the only like tangible public update that you've got on the K-State coaching, I'll just say situation, since the last time I spoke to you, which was talking about the athletic and the legal experts that they had talked to, thinking that K-State does at least have a case to possibly settle. Jerome Tang attended the Wichita State game on Saturday. And I know that, Drew, some people wanted to get their jokes off and talk about that. He's seeing his guy, Paul Mills. They were on the Baylor staff together for like 14 years. That's his dude. He's been very open about that before when they played Wichita State. Like, not surprising to me. And like, I don't know. That seems like there are plenty of things you can be critical of Jerome Tang for. I don't think going to attend the Wichita State game to see his friend is one of them. I didn't like people getting in and taking cheap shots at that. I don't think you need to do that. Let the man live his life. Now, as far as things behind the scenes, I do get a sense that there are two guys that I think are definitely going to be heavily involved if and when the time comes. Obviously, some of that's going to be what happens with seasons that are going on right now. I do want to start with this, though. One thing I wish was getting more run, and I know I'll get bombed for this a little bit. I'm just going to throw it out there anyway. This is a total pipe dream. Total pipe dream. I already came on. One of the first things I said when we were talking about this job being open, one of the first things I said was, Brad Underwood's not taking the job. I am under no impression that he is. I'm not pushing that at all. K-State fans, we can't do that this time. Brad's been a tease to K-State in the past without, I think, like legit serious interest, extra leverage at Illinois, all that. Like it was not seriously going to happen. But the interesting piece of it now is that Tyler Underwood, his son, is 29 years old at this point, and he's drawn some really nice praise lately. Okay, so hey, Jerome Tang said at one point, let's embody the Houston model. He didn't follow through, but he said, let's embody the Houston model. Well, the Houston model includes the son of the head coach being the head coach in waiting, right? So can you throw out a Brad Underwood, Tyler Underwood package here where it's Brad Underwood as your head coach for like the next 5 years, wait until Tyler gets into his mid-30s and then he takes over, making a head coach in waiting salary. K-State was just paying $550K to two different assistants. Can you pitch something like that? Can we try something like that? Now, again, I know Illinois fans, the same ones who hated me on Twitter, I deserved it, frankly. The last time K-State was making a hire and I was pushing the Brad stuff, I'm sure you guys will be all over the comments here. That's fine. I don't actually expect this to happen. But before you tell me I'm totally crazy, like, John, Tyler Underwood's 29 years old. What are you doing? Well, here's one of the best college basketball. It's so like, is it a reporter? Is it just one of the best college basketball voices out there from The Athletic? Sam Vecini. Look at this. He says, no, they lost, but my hottest college basketball coaching take is I would legit hire Tyler Underwood if I were running a good mid-major coaching search in March. Don't care that he's 29. The way Illinois finds mismatches on offense and picks up all the low-hanging fruit is wild. And then you got all these Illinois fans in the comments that are talking about, hey, he should be head coach in waiting in Illinois, so don't do that. Like, chill out, man. Okay, I rest my case there. Hopefully that validates this a little bit. Look, there are a lot of hurdles here. Brad Underwood's got a $15 million buyout. 15. Jerome Tang's got the $18 million buyout that you're dealing with right now. Brad has teased K-State in the past. Tyler's only 29 years old. I don't think that's actually going to happen. But I just wanted to say that's my pipe dream here. Okay, right? It's not going to happen. I'll tell you the serious names now. Okay. First, though, subscribe to the channel, guys. I see so many of you watch, but don't actually subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel. That would be great. I've mentioned this name before, but I do think somebody that's going to be really involved here is Jared Calhoun from Utah State. That was one that initially the first video I did right after all this went down, I said, watch out for Jared Calhoun. I would still echo that. 26-8 last year at Utah State, 23-4. This year, he's projected as a 7 seed right now by Joe Lunardi in the NCAA tournament. Before Utah State, he was at Youngstown State and spent 7 years there, got the program eventually to back-to-back 20-win seasons. That's not been a good basketball program at all. Got them to back-to-back 20-win seasons, won a regular season Horizon League title at one point there too, and was the Horizon League Coach of the Year. You know, my one hesitation with this has just been, well, Utah State has been a great job. A lot of guys have won there. Not all of them have been super successful at their next stop. For instance, Craig Smith had 3 great years at Utah State. Then he got fired at Utah. Danny Sprinkle has been pretty blah at Washington after a great year at Utah State. So a little bit of concern there, but the Youngstown stuff definitely provides some evidence that like he's a guy that seems to be able to coach a little bit. He's from the Bob Huggins tree, coached under him at Cincinnati and then West Virginia, a long time at West Virginia. So I like that. I like what Bob Huggins did to jumpstart K-State's program in 2006. So there's a lot to like here. But before you get too excited, realize that Jared Calhoun's alma mater is none other than Cincinnati. And it sure seemed like Wes Miller was destined to get fired until he smashed KU and Allen Fieldhouse and won 4 straight, with 3 of those 4 being by 18 plus. So now all of a sudden, they're back on the graphic, ladies and gentlemen. Say what you will about Cincinnati. They're back on the graphic. They're back on Joe Lunardi's bracketology graphic. Okay, now, I don't know. I mean, it may still be overwhelmingly likely that Wes Miller gets let go at the end of this year. If that job were to open up, that would complicate things. It would make things very interesting. Obviously, your alma mater can be a big pull there. These 2 jobs were right next to each other, basically, on the list that the coaches put together via the field of 68 of the best jobs in the Big 12. So it doesn't seem like the coaches perceive there to be a ton of difference between the 2. I would say, I'm sure he would consult with Bob Huggins. Bob Huggins speaks very highly of his time at K-State, and I don't think the relationship's great with Cincinnati there. Maybe that would help you. I don't know. And there's also, like, Ohio State could open too, and then that's, you're back in the same area there. So, like, a lot of complicating factors could come up with that, but I do anticipate that that's somebody that K-State may be able to get. I would continue to keep that as a name to watch. Now, the name that I don't think is going to be popular that I'm going to bring to you here is Chris Holtmann, who was formerly at Butler, then at Ohio State. He's currently at DePaul. And if you went and looked at just the DePaul record right now, you would be appalled if you were a K-State fan, and that was like the only context you had about it. All right. You take one look at the DePaul resume and say, like, why on earth would this band ever be considered? They are 12-12 this year and 4-9 in the Big East, 14-20 and 4-16 last year. John, what are you talking about? Well, what if I told you he took over a program that was 3-29 and 0-20 in the Big East? Like, DePaul is a terrible job. Nobody's been to the NCAA tournament there since 2004. So it's not good. It's not good. And if you go back to Ohio State, 2 bad years at the end, totally tanked Chris Holtmann. Before that, he had been solid. Not great, but solid. 4 straight tournaments. 3 of those went to the round of 32. It would have likely been 5 straight NCAA tournaments, if not for COVID, I believe, based on the resume they had put together there. But then the flip side of that is, okay, they were making the tournament every year. They also had double-digit losses almost every single year. I think his first year they had 9 losses. Other than that, it was like double-digit losses every year. So they were always like a 20, like a 23-10 or a 21-12. That was kind of what he was at Ohio State. Now he's very good at Butler, but at Ohio State it was just he was solid until it fell off. So, like, I don't know. I mean, if you're going to go the retread route, I think that's the leader in the clubhouse there. I put it that way. I'm not telling you how to feel about it. I could probably look like I could get behind it. I wouldn't. It's not like I don't think this would be Texas A&M trying to hire Mark Stoops, where you'd have fans revolting to the point where that would get sent back. But I do think that would be a hard one for a lot of people to like totally get behind. So that's a bit of an update. I would give to you there. I see I've got a couple more super chats to get to before finishing this off, but that's a bit of an update I'll give you for right now. I think this thing could still twist and turn because we've got a long way to go. It's still February 22nd. There's a lot of season to play out for these guys that are still coaching teams. I don't think this is going to turn into a Lane Kiffin situation where like Jared Calhoun's going to leave an NCAA tournament roster behind, right? Like, different. That kind of underscores how ridiculous the college football calendar and situation is right now. Anyway, it would help K-State if they had some of the money from Jerome Tang's buyout back, the $18.7 million there. Does K-State have a legitimate chance to get that money back from Jerome Tang's buyout? Click here to find out.